enjoy your stay. Webby, GA, and Matt are here today. Welcome to the Speedway Tavern. Come and have your say.
Well done, Dan Bewley. Well done, well deserved. The star is well and truly born. This is Speedway, and this is the Speedway Tavern. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Chris in the studio.
Good evening.
And the COVID-ridden Matt from his sickbed. How you doing, Matt? How is everyone?
Good. Yeah. Can I just explain? Unfortunately, you can't see me tonight. I know a lot of people will be so.
You said unfortunately.
Bitterly, disappointed. But there you go. I'm sorry. Yeah.
He's in the fridge.
So sorry about that.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, I can still see.
Yeah.
But hey. So yeah, I mean, I guess the place to start is the GP. Oh, actually, before we do that, how can people take part?
Okay, so search for us on Facebook. Just search for UK Speedway Tavern, and you'll find us there. We're also live on YouTube now every week, so just do the same thing. Search for UK Speedway Tavern podcast, and you'll find us on YouTube. We're also available on all the major podcast platforms as of tomorrow, around about lunchy time, which includes Apple, Acast, Google, Spotify, alive, loads.
Lunchy time.
Did I say lunchy time?
You said lunchy time.
Did I?
You really did. Lunchy time.
I don't think you're making that up.
You'll find out when you put the podcast together and knock out all my ers and ahs, and it's only 15 minutes long.
Okay.
Yeah, and also, obviously we have the shout boxes going on all the different platforms as well if you want to take part. Shove your tuppence worth there and we will gladly
I'll get them up in a bit.
I'll
get them up in a bit if you're going on a bit. Yeah, okay.
So yeah, the GP, Matt, you was there. Thoughts? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You did, yeah.
It was amazing that we could see a British winner, but I was thinking possibly more Robert Lambert.
Because he looked quite good as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robert, to be fair, struggled on Saturday, but Dan Bewley was right in there. I think that last performance in Gorzoff in the last Grand Prix before the Speedway Nations has really given him a big boost of confidence, and I think he rose to the occasion. I think what helped him as well, obviously we'll be coming on to the track edition shortly, but Dan Bewley, of course, has got a motocross background, so I think that knowledge sort of helped him, whereas I think with the other riders it sort of hindered them a little bit, shall we say.
A little bit of shades of 2007 because obviously the track cut up a little bit then, and Bomber with his cross track background was sort of able to use that as well.
Yeah, very true.
Just let you know, I'm having a few sound problems, so I am working on it.
He's on it. Yeah, I mean, and in the final, he was miles in front of everybody.
Well, it was. I mean, it wasn't quite as dramatic as Bombers, where he had to, wait until literally the halfway into the last bend before he made that move on Greg Hancock all those years ago, 15 years ago. It's hard to believe it's that long that we've had to wait for a home winner. But it was well deserved. Certainly deserved it. Are you able to hear me, by the way? Because I'm seeing comments, people saying they can't hear me. So
Well, I can hear you.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I think Chris is working on it.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
He's had a few problems with the setup tonight.
Yeah.
I think we need to get a new engineer, to be honest. But, hey ho. So
Carry on, because it's recorded anyway. So.
it was the 20th year. Was there a celebration worthy of all that?
Well, of course, they paraded some of the previous winners. They didn't get all of them, which was somewhat disappointing, I thought. Particularly surprised. Particularly surprised. I mean, Tony Rickardsson obviously was there, but of course he didn't go out on the parade to acknowledge the supporters, which I thought was a bit disappointing. Of course, as he was the first winner there back in 2001. The fireworks display was pretty good. And the atmosphere was the usual at Cardiff, obviously supplemented by the air horns. But I think, I mean, I'm a big defender of Cardiff, and I always have been. But I really struggled to defend it on Saturday. Not so much for the racing, because I think really with Speedo fans, you take your chance. You take your chance with every meeting you go to. There's never any guarantee that you're going to get brilliant racing, even at places like Bellevue and Scunthorpe. But it was very, very processional. Even riders making mistakes, it wasn't leading to passing, which was very, very unusual.
And it looked to me as if the track really cut up. And I'm now getting an echo, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Is that better?
Not at all. I'm echoing.
Are you?
Yeah. Can you hear us, Matt? Okay. I can hear you, and I can hear me twice. It's very off-putting.
Very strange. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we'll try and continue, but it's very, very difficult for me to speak at the moment.
How's that?
Oh, there you go. That's better. Much better. Thank you.
It's just got. There's
Yeah,
no
I
sound.
mean, my biggest gripe, really, I mean, it wasn't anything they could do anything about, but was the conditions in the stadium. It was so hot in there. Obviously it was hot outside as well, so you'd obviously built that heat going into the stadium. Obviously a long walk up to where we were sitting as well. Not much in the way of air conditioning in there. The only real place to get any air conditioning was to go out onto the concourse, so down by the bars. But of course, everybody else had the same idea, so it was all sort of congregating en masse inside there. It took quite a while to get served as well. Which
disappointing.
doesn't usually happen. To be fair, that's one. I mean, Cardiff gets a lot of detractors, but that's one thing that doesn't normally happen at Cardiff. So yeah, a little bit disappointing in that perspective. It was difficult conditions, bordering on dangerous. Fortunately, I mean, obviously we had a lot of problems in the second meeting as well on the Sunday, which of course led to that meeting not even being able to complete. But I think certainly Dan Bewley, as I say, probably rescued them from a lot more criticism on the day. They've had quite a bit anyway. In fairness.
Should we also talk about the best pairs? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. Yeah.
Okay. Should we also talk about the best pairs and say, well, can I read? Okay, I'll try. Weldon red car.
That was no, but I think there's a couple of people on the forum on the prediction league who went for red car to win it quite late on. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise result. Beating Paul in the final. By all accounts, they had a really good crowd down at Oxford for that as well, so that's good to see. So obviously that was a positive start to the weekend for red car. I'm not so sure. I didn't see the meeting. I know it was strange, but I don't know what the racing was like. So
I wasn't able to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should probably catch it again at some point. Apparently I sound like I'm in the toilet.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
No change there.
Shall I pull my trousers up? Okay, let's get through some of these comments then, shall we? So Duncan Pemberton says he asked the question earlier before we came on air: should fans who attended get a 50% reduction if they wish to return to the 2023 GP? I'm going to pass that one over to you, Matt.
I don't think they would do that, to be honest. The one thing that's disappointing me is I'm surprised there's not been an official apology for it yet. Very, very disappointed by that. The tracks have been, not just Cardiff, by the way, I've been disappointed with all the tracks in the Grand Prix this season, possibly with the exception of the first one in Gorican.
Right.
I don't think we've seen great racing in the GPs on any of the tracks this year.
Do we think that's down to the weather?
Quite well. I mean, it's not been hot since May, is it? There's been, you've had the Warsaw Grand Prix, which, I mean, Warsaw has obviously is a temporary track like Cardiff. That's produced great meetings in the past. Didn't produce one this season. Prague has never been, I think, what you would call a racer's track. It's it's always been a track to me that's just a bit too fast. Yeah, I've been disappointed with a lot of the racing in the GPs this year. I don't know what's really gone on, and certainly with Cardiff on Saturday was a massive step backwards, I think, because I really thought we'd got past the days of having dangerous tracks that cut up.
Is recharged.
Hello, what was that?
So my light's running out of battery, so I've just switched it off.
Right, okay.
That's my fault, sir.
Pairs was a good meeting, said somebody who I can't see at the moment. Superb crowd, watched online, great win from Red Cars, from Elliot. You can go up a little bit further as well. Yeah. Cardiff has run its course, sadly. Dan saved the day. Everything extortionate prices. Crowd is getting less every year.
The crowd was down, there's no doubt about that. I would say, at a rough estimate, probably about 20,000, maybe just a bit up.
I think I said about 20,000.
Yeah, I saw 19.
Having said that, it's I think if you ask any of the promoters in this country, they'd snap your hand off for a crowd that size.
We wouldn't get them in.
No.
Extortionate prices. I mean, the event itself isn't that. I think that's well priced.
It is reasonably well priced. I think. Obviously, I suppose a lot of it depends on where you're travelling from. I mean, it's reasonably close to the West Midlands, of course. I suppose it's different if you're going from somewhere like Scotland or Ipswich or Kings Lynn or somewhere like that. But I think, I've seen a comment there from Duncan Pemberton. A lot of damage of faith in Cardiff has got to be rectified. I think that's absolutely got to be the case, because I think a lot of people left Cardiff both on the Saturday and the Sunday extremely disappointed and frustrated by what they'd seen.
Other than Dan winning.
Yeah. In terms of the crowd size, I think there were possibly mitigating circumstances behind that. I mean, it's August, so you've got the holiday season, football season's just started. There was a rail strike, of course, on the Saturday. The cost of living crisis, as we know, that's unfolding in front of our eyes. So they have been there. Obviously, I think there's been one Cardiff GP stage in August before, and that was 2012, I think, and the crowd was well down for that one as well. So I don't think an August GP date works for Cardiff really, but I suppose they're sort of hamstrung when they can have the stadium.
Okay, and you have to say that Bartosz Szmarslik has come out of it well.
Well, he's just doing the bare minimum at the moment.
Yeah.
He's not winning Grand Prix, but he's getting.
He's not needing to.
Yeah, he's gradually building that lead up, isn't he? So I think he's about a 15, 16 point lead now that he's got. So he's still handily placed, I think, to regain the World Championship, of course.
Yeah, I mean, how many? We're about just over halfway through, are we now? Something like that.
I think there's another 4 rounds left.
Another 4 rounds, yeah. So, yeah. He's almost over the line, but not.
The one thing I wanted to talk about as well. I mean, as with all the criticism of Cardiff over the weekend, of course, it's sort of renewed the clamour, if you like, to move the Grand Prix to Bellevue. Now, I think Bellevue is a fantastic racetrack. Don't get me wrong. I think ideal scenario for me: get the Bellevue track inside Cardiff. Perfect scenario. Obviously not going to happen because it's just the track's obviously you're sort of limited on the size you can have of the track. But there are cons towards Bellevue, of course. It's It's relatively small capacity in comparison to Cardiff. Limited parking, not the most accessible areas in Manchester. Not really much to do in the area around it. That's probably the one big advantage that Cardiff's got, is that it's all sort of right there. You've got the bars,
Yeah.
the restaurants, you've got the place like the Cardiff Castle and all the souvenir shops, so you can spend the days in those shopping precincts and then just walk straight across the road going to the stadium. Whereas obviously with Bellevue, you'd have to get a bus ride back into Manchester. So I understand entirely the clamour for moving the Grand Prix to somewhere like Bellevue, but let's be fair. If you go back to the World Final days, World Finals given to tracks that produce brilliant racing.
Sometimes, much like
the two tracks that staged the most World Finals were Wembley and Ullevi. I mean, I don't think you would have described either of them as being brilliant racetracks, but they were picked for.
But there were some great races, obviously on not so much at Ullevi, but at Wembley. I mean, you're thinking of a couple of those Bruce Pennell passes and Tommy Knudsen and so on. But
I think those venues were picked more for the iconism of the site and where they were, probably more so than. I mean, if you were picking tracks on the sole basis that you had great racing, then you'd be having Grand Prix at places like Scunthorpe. No disrespect to Scunthorpe, but it's there's not really much in the way of facilities up there, and it wouldn't
hold 20,000.
Certainly wouldn't hold 20,000. It would probably barely hold 2,000. I think never mind 20,000. So
yeah. And of course, the other problem and the biggest advantage that Cardiff has got is it rains in Manchester. It rains in Cardiff, but it doesn't matter.
Just a little bit.
I don't think it rains in Manchester at the moment, unless there's
well,
a British
there is
rival,
that.
so.
It's raining at the moment here. It's chucking down.
It is, yes.
Right.
Yeah, apologies for the earlier sound problems. I have sorted it out. The software decided to update and it set everything as a default setting. So I've had to reset it to our personal settings because we've got strange voices.
Yes, we have.
Like
Simon Corbett, you're right, I have got a strange voice.
Strange.
He says the crowd at Cardiff would probably get into Bellevue.
Oh, I'm not so sure it would. Comfortably get into Bellevue.
I thought it was about 14,000.
And where would they park?
Well, that's the big problem you got because I think when they had the World Cup there in 2016, they had the temporary stand, didn't they? But
they did,
gave them more capacity, but it was right in the middle of the main car park.
Mm.
That's the one thing that did surprise me about the new Bellevue track is that there wasn't a lot. There's not a lot of car parking space there. I don't think. As much as it's a fantastic racetrack and it's a very modern stadium in comparison to other speedway tracks in the UK. It's probably not geared to staging massive meetings like that. And I think as well, the other thing that you have to take into account is that there's quite a long contract that they've Discovery have got with Principality, so they're sort of hamstrung really and tied to that, because as far as I'm aware, part of the deal is that if there's a Grand Prix at Cardiff, they can't have a Grand Prix anywhere else in the UK.
Yeah, well, that seems unfair, to be honest. Rich Thomas says should be getting temporary tracks right now after all the time they've been doing them. I mean, I think we thought that they were getting them right.
I can remember when they had the two Grand Prix in Australia, in Melbourne on a temporary track, and those two Grand Prix produced excellent racing.
And we've had decent enough tracks at Cardiff previously.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's it. So
I would say, around 2009, 2010, we had some brilliant racing at Cardiff. It's just in the last 4 or 5 years that it seems to have gone down. I don't know whether it's the shale, whether they need to maybe replace the shale, because as far as I'm aware, it's still the same shale that they've been using for the last 3 years, and has obviously been in storage for the last 3 years while we haven't had a Cardiff. So
that's true. Bellevue is a Manchester Council project. If Speedway Marketing gets their act together, they could talk to the council and you can have somewhere like Piccadilly Gardens as a fan zone, all the bars and eating you wish in city centre, then coaches with free travel to stadium. I need to see a bit more of that, please, Chris. Stadium late in the afternoon could be sorted.
all those narrow, windy roads around the stadium. That's going to be fun for the coaches then. So I'm not knocking Bellevue, because I think Bellevue is a fantastic racetrack, but I think there are a lot of obstacles that would have to be overcome into having a GP there.
Somebody, and I can't see who it was because Chris has gone a little bit too high, said smaller tracks are producing the best racing as is needed and not all out speed. Throttle control is needed and not all out speed. I don't think you would call Bellevue a small track, and they produce some really good racing.
Oh, absolutely. Bellevue's more akin to a European track, isn't it? Yeah, I'd like to see in the Grand Prix really some places like Bydgoszcz back on the GP calendar again, because Bydgoszcz, I mean, you've seen meetings from Bydgoszcz. It's a fantastic place.
It's a great place.
I'm hopeful, of course. I mean, the next Grand Prix is in Wrocław, and that was probably the best Grand Prix of the season last year. So hopefully we'll get the same again on a
Hope so.
a permanent racetrack. So
it feels very much as if the riders themselves haven't got it in them this year to produce that sort of racing that we've.
Well, of course they did.
It's comfortable for Schmarschlick at the moment, and that's the thing.
Well, I mean, in terms of the track as well, I mean, they did speak to Jason Crump and Greg Hancock, of course, who are both previous winners there now. They've both themselves. They've ridden on tracks at Cardiff that, in their opinion, were far worse than that. I mean, Greg Hancock made the point that when he was riding at Cardiff, he always had a bike specially prepared for it, because he knew what to expect.
Right.
He knew it was going to be a track that was probably going to rut up and cause problems. The problem, of course, is, as I say, I would say around about 2007, 2008 was when the Grand Prix tracks were really having bad problems with rutting up, especially the temporary tracks. Of course, in that period of time, the bikes have got faster, so maybe there's something in that. The bikes have probably got too fast for smaller tracks like.
They always go faster; they never go slower. Maybe that's something.
The thing is, of course, I've seen a lot of people who've said, although they were disappointed with Cardiff this year, they've already booked their tickets for next year's event, which is great. So, I mean,
as a spectacle, as an experience, it's still.
It is. I mean, it's
still.
I think a lot of it depends on what you expect from a meeting, really. If you're going there sort of like for the social side of it, to meet up with friends that you only get to see once a year in Cardiff, and have a nice meal, go for a few drinks, then absolutely Cardiff in that sense is absolutely perfect. It's perfect in every sense, apart from the fact that they can't seem to get the track right. But I suppose, I mean, I know a lot of people who if it's a great meeting, it's a great meeting. If it's not, it's not. It's it's sort of secondary importance for them. But I guess that obviously there are other fans who they place stock on what the racing's like.
And as you've mentioned before, when you turn up at a Speedway meeting, and it's part of it, the attraction, I guess you don't really know what's this going to be like. I mean, we've turned up. The pool meeting that Birmingham went to this year is a case of which we thought this is going to a lot of people predicting like 65-15 and stupid scores, and yet by all accounts it was a really, really good meeting. We were well beat, but it was a good meeting. So you never know what you're going to get, do you, with Speedway, and that is part of the attraction, I guess.
Yeah. As for Dan Bewley, is he now our new number one, new British number one, possibly?
I would have thought so. It's
I mean, it certainly looks the more likely rider to go on and win a Grand Prix than Ty Wuffinen does at the moment.
Yeah, Ty's not at the races, is he?
Just before we move on, can I just backtrack a little bit regarding shale?
Yes, you can.
I'm quite interested in this. So how often should shale be placed? Is it something that's done every year or every couple of years or what?
It depends what you mean by replaced. I mean, I think you're always replacing shale because it's always disappearing into the sky.
Right, okay. So does it get degraded?
Yes, it does.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I think that's part of the reason why we were so dusty last year, because it got degraded quite a lot. And part of the reason why we've been able to, for the most part, to keep the dust down this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does get degraded. Of course, it does. Yeah.
Okay. Can I do another quick announcement?
Of course.
As well, some of you may have noticed that we do have a facility for you to send stars. This is just a bit of just something from Facebook where you can buy these stars and you can give out to little bits and pieces to videos and that like. And if you send us some stars, it's a few shekels in our pocket type of thing, like, you know. So if you see that, buy some. And we've had our first donator. Thank you very much, Craig Smith. Thank you very much. So that's started.
Who's getting that one?
Huh?
Who's getting that shekel?
Oh, it's all going into the charity.
Okay.
Chris Brown charity.
Yeah.
Now it's going to pay for all your beer.
Nothing's ever going to pay for all my beer. Right, can we just take that down a little bit for me? So,
Up or down?
Yeah, keep going. That's it.
Okay.
So I thought we also mention this young lad, Brian Buck, and what he has to say.
Yeah, he's a really good
in my opinion, the track at Cardiff is too small and there is not enough straight to make it a good passing track. This was very obvious in Heat 3, in which Doyle was clearly much faster than Zmarzlik but couldn't make a pass due to lack of straight. Not that there is any way that this can be rectified, unfortunately. But we have seen passing at Cardiff. I think it's possibly more due to the fact that his front wheel was pouring the sky because he kept hitting ruts.
That's possibly the reason, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've got that. They need to get that sorted out. They need to have a good track next year, otherwise,
it's absolutely paramount. They must get it right.
Get it right.
I'm a little bit disappointed that they haven't issued some form of apology for what happened over the weekend. But next year they've got. It's all right having all these fancy flashing lights and sparkling graphics and fireworks, but ultimately you've got to get the tracks right. And they haven't done that nearly all season in the Grand Prix, not just at Cardiff.
Yeah. So there you go.
I know they're new to the game, obviously this new team, but I think they need to start learning fast. I think because it's going to turn a lot of people off.
Well, there are people there that were doing it previously, so they're the people that they need to talk to.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
Yeah, it's not
a lot of talk on
science.
Facebook regarding moving it, and I know we just talked about it at Bellevue, but
can I just say it's really sad, isn't it? Though that this is what we're talking about, when actually what we should be talking about is we've got a new home British champion, British GP champion, and that and the lack of coverage in the newspapers once again. Hands up if you're surprised. Oh, that's nobody then.
yeah.
I think the only thing I've seen on any news report is on BBC Cumbria, and that's on the basis that that's where Dan Bewley's from. So,
Craig Smee says regarding using Bellevue, have you seen Piccadilly Gardens? I certainly wouldn't have the fan zone there. Duncan Pemberton says, yeah, I live in Manchester, using the gardens as an example. Glen Clifton, the shale has apparently been stored on top of gravel for the last 3 years that had mixed into the shale, making the surface softer than normal. Well, they shouldn't have stored it there then, should they? The promotional poster for Cardiff next year has Woffenden and Lambert. On sad reflection on Dan winning it, surely having Dan on it with the trophy would have attracted more fans back after this year's debacle.
That did surprise me.
Ben Clifton, also I believe the stipulation of no other British GP was in the old contract with BSI. Discovery have hinted at a second GP in the UK from as early as next year. It was amongst their early press releases last year, should anyone wish to check it out. If you've got the link, that would be cool. Simon Corbett, what about the Ellis fiasco? I think we've covered that, haven't we?
Yeah.
They only laid the track 3 days before practice, not enough time to work on it, pack it down, etc. The last promotion, although had its issues at the beginning, they started laying the track 9 to 10 days before the meeting, then spent a full week grading, watering, packing it down, and the track held up much better each year. Seems the new promotion need to learn from last promotion on what they need to do with temporary tracks.
I mean, it depends on how early they can get access to the stadium.
Yeah, and being in August, that might have played a part. That what about the Ellis fiasco? You're just out to diss the guy all the time, says Duncan Pemberton. That's a little private argument going on there. You carry on.
Fight.
Jeff Daniels' promotional poster also says, "Come and watch Dan try and retain." Hello, thank you. His title. Have they give the game away that he is a wild card already? Well, he's going to be there, isn't he? I mean, he's fourth in the world.
Even if he doesn't qualify, you would have thought as the previous winner of his home Grand Prix that they would find a way of stopping him in somehow.
Brian Buck says, despite all the problems, Cardiff remains the ideal location for the British GPs, the stadium being located in the city centre and surrounded by an excellent shopping area and good scope for all the off-track occasions which help make the occasion special. With all respect to Bellevue, Bradford, Glasgow and other venues which have been suggested, none are able to provide these facilities.
Yeah. Basically, we want them to get it right, and then it would be a great venue.
Yeah, and there's more stuff about Adam Ellis that I think we've done to death. Ollie Olsen did the tracks this year, I believe, says Ben Clifton.
Yes, we know what Ollie Olsen's tracks can be like sometimes.
Yeah. like a Danish track, essentially. Essentially. Right, well, we've caught up on all of that.
It's always around about the same time, isn't it? 25
Let's talk about a match that's going to occur tomorrow, which was probably a very important match in ways for Coventry Speedway.
Yeah, absolutely great to, even if it's only for one night, it's great to see the Bees back on track. I'm sure there'll be a big contingent of Coventry fans make the short.
I hope so, because they need to show their council and everybody, that the support is there for Speedway, and we need Coventry back.
Well, the sport needs Coventry back, doesn't it?
God, don't they? Gee, we need as many tracks back as we can, but Coventry would be a great one to have back.
I've got the teams here for tomorrow.
Go through the teams for us. Yeah,
lining up with again, it's very much a mishmash. Birmingham team has been the case for the last few weeks. So Tom Brennan at number 1, Simon Lambert 2, James Wright at 3, Brock Nickel at 4, Justin Sedgman 5, Lee Complin 6, and James Pearson at 7. And for the Bees, Chris Harris. Wouldn't be Coventry without Chris Harris, would it? Number 1, Adam Roynan at 2, Connor Mountain 3, Joe Thompson 4, Hans Anderson 5, Luke Crane 6, and Freddie Hodder at number 7.
Fairly evenly paced teams, do you think?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for Birmingham to look at riders for next year.
I was going to say that. I mean, do you think there's any clues there as to riders that we might be riding next year? I mean, Brock Nickel was a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, Lee Complin seems to be quite a name that seems to be properly, appearing quite a lot for Birmingham recently there. So he's someone that may well be considered. Of course, Simon Lambert, former Birmingham rider, in the latter stages of the that man's reign, shall we say? I won't say his name. Yeah. It'll bring back bad memories, but. No, and again for Coventry as well. I mean, there's yourself. There's been some great battles between the Brummies and the Bees over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, hopefully, fingers crossed that something will happen and that we'll see those that rivalry renewed. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of Coventry fans making. I hope so.
I think the track's going to be good as well because we've had a really decent sprinkling of rain. And it's strange to say that as a Speedway fan, but it's going to do the track a world of good to get the water into the base.
Has there been a lot of rain over there?
There's been some rain. Well, I don't know whether there's been any in Perry Bar, of course, but because I was at work today and we had rain, and then I went back home and we had quite a heavy bit of rain for about half an hour, and then when I got home it was bone dry, and I only live like 5 minutes away, and apparently there hadn't been any rain, so I don't know, but I'm hoping there's been some. But yeah, I think Brock, that team didn't surprise me. I think that there's for Birmingham, I mean there are riders there that have ridden for Birmingham, riders that have done well for Birmingham this year, guesting for us, and have had good support from the Brummies fans. But has Brock Nickel rode for us this year? I'm not sure he has.
I don't think he has actually.
So that was a slight surprise, and I have to wonder whether there's something in that. I have no idea of knowing, but
Well, don't forget, of course, Lawrence Rogers has got quite a good history with the
Americans. Yeah.
So there's a possibility there, I guess. He seems to have lost his way a little bit, Brocknickle, doesn't he? Really, so maybe a move to Birmingham would benefit him in that regard.
I'm just basically starting the silly season off early. Yes, Simon Corbett. We will come on to that in a moment.
Okay,
Wendy says there wasn't much rain in Perrybar today, and apparently we've had Birmingham have booked 46 guests to date. Is there that many riders in the league?
46.
46.
That means everybody's ridden, apart from you.
Well,
Darcy's had that many guest bookings, isn't it?
okay. So shall we get on to this about the aggregate bonus point back in the championship?
Yeah.
Simon Corbett's brought it up, and Duncan Pemberton says, what do people think about championship promoters suggesting league scoring system regressing 15 years like it was a new deal? I think that's slightly sarcastic, shall we say. Well, what do you reckon, Matt? I mean, the proposal is that we keep it as it is now, so the 4 points for an away winner, etc., etc., or we go back to what it was when we first started in 2007.
I've got mixed thoughts on this because I like the current scoring system, because obviously it still gives the advantage of a team, even though if they've lost a meeting, if they're still relatively close, they can still pick a point out of it with a decent couple of metre advantages at the end. But I also, going back years ago, I used to really enjoy the aggregate bonus point, especially if he was, close. And of course, it ends up with an aggregate result being tied, and you've got a bonus point runoff. Same thing, great bonus points runoffs over the years. So there's that element as well, which is fantastic. Although it didn't happen that often. So I like them both, to be honest. I would more on the side of sticking with what they've got now. But I think if they go and buy this poll, I suspect they probably will.
Right, stick with what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean that would be my preference, and just purely because the other way, to me, just gives too much of an advantage to tracks with a big home track advantage.
Well, I suppose the one thing it would leave itself out if you've got two tracks with a big home advantage. So one whacks another team by 30 points at home, and then the other team whacks them back by 30 away. So.
But that's not. I mean, it's a track like Birmingham. That's not likely to happen, is it?
No, it isn't. No.
So it does. Yeah, for me, that's the problem with that. Ben Clifton says, I like the idea of an aggregate point. Makes it easier to explain to new fans rather than the very strange current scoring system. But rugby don't seem to have any problems with that sort of a scoring system. So aggregate point is a bit easier for the casual follower to understand, says Duncan.
Yeah.
Jeff Daniel says the Poles use the aggregate system and it works for them, but they don't have the different sizes in tracks that we have. They're all pretty much of a muchness, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the problem for me. And so that's why I would, in fact, I will vote to keep it as it is. But is there another way we could do it? Has anybody else got any suggestions out there for another way that we could do it?
Yep.
Because we're just given those, the old way or the new way. Sorry, the old way or the current way. What about a new way? Is there anything? The one thing I say this every time, don't I? I don't like the way the tactical sub works, in the sense of I don't think it should be allowed there for the home team. In fact, if they did it so that it was just for the away team, I actually wouldn't have such a problem with them going back to the old way of doing it, because that counteracts home track advantage then.
Yeah, you're not the first one who said that, to be fair. First one.
I think Duncan's got it spot on. He says that this is the best way. Rock, paper, scissors.
Thank you, Pete. Rock,
No,
paper,
the BSBL, I
scissors.
probably would do it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd still get rained off.
Thank you, Pete. Well done.
Yes, thanks, mate.
Love you.
Simon Corbett, happiness is 40-38. None of you've got the 38, it isn't. Hey ho, hey ho. Right,
Oh, crikey, it's time. Where's the time gone?
yeah, 22. There's nothing else on the chat box, so shall we go with the Simon Pearson?
Simon.
Yeah, I nearly
Is that
said
his
Simon
brother?
Corbett. It's been a long day.
Right, okay, so here we go. Here's the tables for this week's Nigel Pearson League.
Thank you so much for taking over there.
No worries. I can see you struggling. Simon Corbett's at the top at 188. Ben Clifton's only 4 points
Wow.
behind. And Dave Twine, he's on 183 as well.
Wow, that's close. And then you got
Andrew Garner. Yeah,
181.
It's still, I think it's still anybody's that top 5.
Yeah, it is.
Where am I? Ooh, 174. Hey, that's not.
Did anybody
I'm
get
happy
the
with that.
1, 2, 3 correct on the
No, they didn't.
GP?
No, they
No.
didn't. Only one person got the winner, and a couple of people got 2 of the top 3. But
Who got the winner?
I think I got Dan Bewley, not as winner, but I think I got him.
Well, it doesn't
I
count.
got him somewhere.
the man down in 20th place, who got the winner, by the way.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's that? Because it's disappeared.
Mr. Patriot himself, so.
No. Okay.
Right then, okay, so we're gonna play our game.
Oh, I've got
the fixtures up. So
I've got to go back to a couple of things on the shout box that
Sure,
have come
yeah.
up now because I did throw that question out. Is there anything different that we could do? Stephen Bradford says go back to 13 heats.
could they integrate both scoring systems? So if you lose away by less than 6 points on the night, you get a league point, as well as a bonus point for overall aggregate score over both legs.
That's quite an interesting idea, isn't it?
Interesting way of doing it, yeah.
Yeah,
It's from our friend Craig Smee.
I quite like that actually.
Could they-
Interesting.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, keep them coming. Right, shall we get on with this then? Let's go.
Okay, here we go. Let's put it.
So, I believe it's down to you this week, Matt.
Okay. So the first one is Oxford against Edinburgh.
No, I haven't got that one. Oh. What's the one? What's the pool one then?
Oh, sorry, Poole against Redcar, yeah. Sorry, I've got
See,
them written the
every
wrong way
week I have to pull him up, Mike.
around. I've got them written the wrong way around, that's all.
Can't be getting replaced.
Well,
Paperclip.
we could, but we'd have to pay somebody.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know, it's cheap,
I
isn't
need
it?
my knowledge of spreadsheets as well, so. So, Poole against Redcar. I've gone Poole by 20 on this one.
Okay, interesting.
So it's
And
me. I'll go
yeah.
Paul by 14.
I'll go Paul by 16. Okay, I want to try and get through this as quick as we can because I had somebody come up to me last week and say they turn off. They turn off when we do this.
Yeah, a few people do, yeah.
So let's get through it quickly and then we
Okay.
can continue discussions
Oxford against
afterwards.
Edinburgh. Who's next?
Oxford versus Edinburgh.
That's up to me, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Edinburgh by 8.
I'm going to say Edinburgh by 2. Matt?
I've gone Oxford by 12.
Interesting.
Bear in mind, of course, that Edinburgh don't have Sam Masters, so environment. So
No,
Okay,
probably,
next up.
yeah.
is the nice to see back the West Midland Derby, or the Midland Derby, I should say. Birmingham against Coventry.
Okay, and that's down to me, isn't it? So I'll say Birmingham by 6.
I've gone the same. Birmingham by
Okay.
6.
I'll go Birmingham by 10.
Okay. Then we have
Scunthorpe against Berwick.
Scunthorpe versus Berwick. That's up to you, Matt.
I've gone Scunthorpe by 14.
I'll go Scunthorpe by 10.
And I'll go Scunthorpe by 12.
Okay. Bellevue against Leicester in the National League is next.
That's up to you.
That's up to me, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll go Bellevue by 6.
I'm going to say Bellevue by 6 as well, actually.
Copycat.
I've gone Leicester by 10 on that one.
Interesting.
Okay. Next up, Edinburgh against Redcar.
And that's Mike.
Edinburgh versus Redcar. I'm going to say Edinburgh by 8.
Okay.
Matt?
I've gone Edinburgh by 12.
I bet he goes 10.
I'll go Edinburgh by 10.
Yeah, there you go.
I've got the Grand Prix Challenge line up here, but I didn't put it on as the fixture. So, do you want to do it?
I don't. No, we can talk about that afterwards if you like.
Well, I've got the line up in front of me, so that's fine.
Okay. So next one will be
Kent against
Kent versus Mildenhall. And that's up to you, Matt.
I've gone Kent by 10.
I'll go Kent by 6.
Kent by 6. I'm going to say Kent by 12. There we go.
Next up is Redcar against Glasgow.
That's up to me, isn't
It
it?
is, yeah.
I'm going to go Glasgow by 8.
I'm going to say Glasgow by 10.
I've gone Glasgow by 10 as well. Next up, Wolves against Sheffield.
Okay, that's up to me, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this was cracking up the last time Sheffield came to Mum, so hopefully it'll be the bad again.
I'm going to say Sheffield by 26. No, not really. I'm going to say Wolves by 4.
Might be close, that one. I've gone Wolves by 12 on that.
That's not close.
No, it's not.
I'm going to go Sheffield by. I'm going to go Sheffield by 4.
Okay.
Okay, big call.
Yeah.
Kingsland against Bellevue is next up.
Kingsland versus Bellevue. Oh, gosh, this is down to you, Matt.
I've gone Bellevue by 14.
Wow. I'll go Bellevue by 8.
I'm going to say Bellevue by 16. I mean, they seem to be untouchable at the moment.
Yeah, they do. And finally, Plymouth by Glasgow. Plymouth v Glasgow.
Okay, that's up
That's
to
me,
you,
isn't it?
Chris, yeah.
I'm going to go Glasgow by 12.
Glasgow by 12. I'll say Glasgow. I'm going to say Glasgow by 8.
I've gone Glasgow by 10.
Okay, all much of a muchness. So, yeah, if you've not seen this part of the show before, just shove your scores up and we will collate them and you will become part of the Nigel Pearson League.
Yeah,
or the Simon Pearson or the Corbett.
Yeah, I know. Roddy Corbett.
Yeah.
Apparently Redcar versus Glasgow was missed on the predictions post. Can you get people
Yes, I
to...
will put that on, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Should we do that now as well, or
Yeah, I can add that.
are they doing it?
So Redcar versus Glasgow.
Yeah.
And that's down to me.
Yeah, you've already done it. You went Glasgow by 10.
Oh, you already
okay.
done it? Oh, right,
I'm right.
okay.
I'm totally confused
So
now.
I
Yeah,
missed
mate.
it off. I missed it off the post that I put on last night. So.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Well, stop confusing us. We have tiny brains.
Yes. Tiny. Some of us don't have brains at all.
Mike, explain to me the Speedway Challenge at Glasgow.
Oh, okay.
The Grand Prix Challenge. Is it
It's
called?
Grand Prix
Okay.
Challenge. So
Explain that.
the base. Go on, you go for it, Matt.
Yeah, this is the final meeting for 16 riders to book their place in next year's Grand Prix series. It's the top 4 usually is. So it's at Glasgow this year on Saturday night. So I'll quickly run through the lineup. You've got Anders Thompson, Kai Huckenbeck, Max Frick, Kim Nielsen, Jack Holder, Simon Wozniak, Andrei Lebedev, Rowan Tungate, Martin Vasilik, Dan Bewley, Robert Lambert, Rasmus Jensen, Dominic Cabrera, Oliver Bernson, David Balago, and Vaclav Milic.
So how does that format work? I mean, how many go through, or does one go
Top
through?
four goes
Top
through.
four.
Top
Oh,
four.
right,
Top
okay.
three, sorry, yeah, it is top three.
Top three. Okay.
Top
Fourth
three.
one gets, I think the fourth one is the winner of the European Championship.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, you got to think Dan Bewley's got a good chance of winning that, hasn't he?
Well, he's certainly going to fancy his chances there. I mean, it's a track he knows well anyway. So,
So that would be good.
No,
And then other,
Jack Calder rode very well on Saturday, I should say, though.
he did, didn't he?
Really
Yeah.
well, yeah.
He was
That's probably the one thing that did keep it interesting was it was very, very close in terms of the leaders all the way through it. You know, there was about 3 or 4 riders that, I mean, obviously we all wanted Dan Bewley to win it, and but you know, there was a lot of riders that were right in that meeting as well.
Yeah.
A chance
Must
of
say
a British.
the Polish contingent were not as vocal as they have been. There weren't as many there, to be honest.
Right.
And possibly that contributed to the poor
Smaller
crowd as well.
crowd.
Yeah.
They normally take a lot then, do they?
Yes.
Last time I went to Cardiff, I thought I was in Warsaw. It was that.
Warsaw or Warsaw?
Is there a difference?
No, there isn't.
Answers on a postcard.
just saw one.
Craig Smee's Go on.
Pointing out as well, of course, Martin Vashlik is going to be subject to fitness riding in that Grand Prix Challenge. Of course, he didn't ride in Cardiff. I'm not sure yet who's going to be in that meeting.
He's got to fancy his chances if he's fit,
He's in it,
you would say. Craig Smith says he's travelling from Manchester to Glasgow for the first time to the GP Challenge. Can't wait. Strong lineup. Hope we get a British winner.
Yep.
Amen to all of that.
So you're going to pick a winner for this one then? We'll have it on the prediction league.
Shall we go? Shall we put it
Yeah,
on?
let's
Yeah,
go.
go on then. Well, I'm
Let's
going to
go
go with
for it.
Dan Bewley.
Oh,
There you go.
I'll go with him. I'm going to go with Dan Bewley as well.
I'm going to go Jack Holder.
Okay. Rich Thompson fancies Rasmus Jensen as an outside chance.
Decent rider, yeah, good rider. He's ridden at Glasgow before as well, so.
Right. Fantastic. So yeah, I mean that sounds like. Is it?
It's a very strong field, yeah. So there's quite a number of riders. You know, you can't rule out someone like Max Frick either or Anders Thompson. So.
And Craig wants to know who's going to come in for Vakulik if he's not fit.
No, yet. We'll have to have a look at that. I'm not sure. I mean, he may declare himself fit, but
Is it being streamed? Do we know?
might be being streamed on the Glasgow website, I think. But if it is, it's certainly a match that might be worth watching. It's always a
think
good
so.
meet in the Grand Prix Challenge because obviously it's the last chance for a lot of these riders to get a spot in next year.
We should say, well done, Leon Flint. His form of late he seems to have turned some sort of corner.
He certainly didn't disgrace himself in the when he came in as a reserve on Saturday.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yeah, I mean that was. I think he's something's clicked with him, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And confidence, as we all know, is the big thing in this sport, and he seems to have tons of it at the moment. While we're talking about on riders that seem to have clicked, I think our very own little P. James Pearson has been showing a lot better form of late, don't you think?
Yeah, he rode very well on Wednesday night against Berwick.
So yeah, I mean, little Dicky Bird tells me that he's changed his mechanic. So whether that's got anything to do with it, I have no idea. And I could be wrong. I have been wrong about things before, have I not?
Yeah.
Anders
I
Rowe.
can vouch for that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels just said that it's been streamed on the tapes up. It costs £15.
Costs £15. That's not bad.
15
for
quid's okay then.
Yeah.
I think so. You have Lynn Bellevue on predictions. It's not week. It's on 22nd on Eurosport. I don't. Somebody might be able to work out what that actually means. That would be great. MJJ replaces Huckenbeck apparently by Elliot Hunt. Yeah, Jepson Johnson. Okay. Well. It's 5 to the hour, 5 to 9. I'd just like to sort of send out a welcome to any Coventry supporters that come tomorrow. Come and support your come and support. It's not so much supporting your team as supporting your body colour, I think, is the way to look at it. I think it's going to actually be quite an entertaining match because there's no pressure on anybody. We know what that last to first in that one heat last week, Chris Harris. That was brilliant. So, I hope to see lots and lots of you down there. I do hope to get a Birmingham win, and I do hope I get the chance to rub it in your faces. Of course I do. That's what it's all about.
Has there been much talk from Coventry supporters about tomorrow's meeting?
I honestly don't know.
No? Okay.
So,
It's killed that then.
yeah, I mean, I haven't looked, so it's
No research at all.
Yeah, no,
Nothing.
absolutely none.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing changes.
Oops. That was the
There
wrong
you
one,
go.
by the way.
Yeah, well, there you go. Apparently, we have that match as next Monday on predictions, and it's a week on Monday.
Well, I've got it off the BSBA website, so I blame them. No.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
Blame
I
you.
can't be right.
Always got to blame somebody else. It's always somebody else's
It's always,
fault.
yeah.
Always with Matt, and it? Always somebody else's fault.
It's always yours.
I know.
That's the.
I know. And most of the time it is my fault.
Well, this is true. Well, thank you once again for joining us. Matt, I've got to say, get better soon, mate.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Can I also say thank you to everybody who's shared the stream as well, and please continue to do so every week. Share the stream to your page, your profile, and thank you to our star senders.
Thank you. What is the charity we're?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
We'll
we
think
haven't.
one. We'll think
We
one.
haven't sorted.
No,
Okay,
we'll
I
sort
have
one.
some ideas.
Yeah.
Mainly they're mine, but okay.
Yeah.
They're hoping after the meeting tomorrow and a big turnout, the Save Coventry Speedway campaign will make a further update about Coventry plans. So that there you go. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your Speedway this week, and see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night.
Welcome to the Speedway